Hey everybody, you know how much I like to talk about bees, and this year I don't get to come to your classrooms and talk about bees like I want to, but I still wanted to show you guys what I have and teach you some things about bees. So you won't get to get hands-on like usual, but I'll still go over it, and hopefully next year you can see it live. So first of all, I'm going to talk about things that are bees and things that aren't bees, because a lot of people call everything that's black and yellow with wings a bee. So let me show you what is and isn't a bee. So this is a picture of some flying insects that might be mistaken for bees and some things that are bees. This was put together by Alex Sirica. So we have some wasps up here. These are all different kinds of wasps. These guys are mean. They want to sting you because they can. These guys do not die when they sting you, and they can sting you over and over again. Down here we have two different kinds of bees. We have a bumblebee and a honeybee. And today we're going to be talking about honeybees. So honeybees, when they sting you, they die. So they don't really want to sting you, but if you mess with them or their hive, then they will. So if you get too close to bees that are working on something, or if you step on a bee, it will sting you, but not because it wants to, only because it's trying to defend itself. Inside a hive, there are 3 different kinds of honeybees, and here they are pictured. If you can see my mouse, this is the queen bee right here. She's the one who does all the egg laying. She creates all the bees that are in a hive. And in the middle of summer, there can be a lot of bees in a hive, like 60,000 bees in a hive. This bee right here makes up most of the bees in the hive. 95% or 95 out of every 100 bees is a worker bee, like this girl. She does all the work in the hive and all the work outside of the hive. She collects nectar and pollen for them to eat, and she does the house cleaning, she feeds the babies, she does everything that needs to be done. And this guy over here, he makes up about 5%, or 5 out of every 100 bees in the hive. He's called a drone, and you can see he's a little bit wider than a worker bee. He's just a little bit wider right in here. And he also has much larger eyes than the worker bees. And the queen bee, there should only be 1 queen bee in a hive. And we talked about a little bit about what was a bee and what wasn't a bee. And you can see that these guys all look pretty fuzzy. And that's how you can tell when you look what's a good bee and what's a wasp. Because the wasps look really smooth and the honeybees look pretty fuzzy. I'll go back up. If you look, you can see how fuzzy the bumblebee is and how fuzzy the honeybee is. And these guys are also fuzzy. You can see a little bit of fuzz right here, but not as fuzzy as these honeybees. And I'll show you guys some real honeybees a little bit later out in my hives. But I just wanted you to see what kinds of bees are in there. And I have a little video for you to watch, which I think, so this is a slow motion video. I just found it on YouTube. And you can see right here, this little thing on her leg, that was her pollen pocket. And all of this stuff that's kind of on her back, that's pollen. And so she gets that on her when she goes to drink out of flowers, which is what she's doing. She's using her proboscis, which is like a little straw, and she's sucking up nectar out of the depths of that flower. And when she gets pollen on her, she collects it, and we'll see that in a few minutes, and she puts it in these little baskets on her back legs. And then she will go back to the hive And other bees that are in the hive, other worker bees, oh, you can see her. She's got pollen all over her front legs, and she just scraped some off of her head. All the other worker bees, they will take her nectar from her, and they will take the pollen out of her pollen baskets, and they'll store it in the hive. There she is, cleaning some pollen off her head. And then she will go back out and she will collect more pollen and more nectar and bring it back to the hive again. And she'll do that all day long. And she'll do that for her whole life. Once she goes out to be a collector, that's all she'll do for the rest of her life. She will have a different job. All bees have different jobs until they become foragers. Everybody has jobs inside the hive. So they might be a nurse bee who feeds the babies, or they might be a guard bee who protects the hive from people coming in, or I shouldn't say people, from other insects coming in and stealing their food stores. Or she might be one of the queen's attendants. She might take care of the queen and feed the queen while the queen lays eggs. The queen can lay up to 2,000 eggs a day. That's a lot of babies to be taken care of. So there are a lot of bees that are nurse bees that are feeding those babies. I just think it's so much fun to watch them work. Well, I will be back in a little bit to show you a little bit more. Today I'm going to take you out to the bee yard, but before I do that, I'm going to get all of my protective gear on because I don't want to get stung. So when I'm going out to the bee yard, I wear light colored pants because I want to look the least like a bear as possible, because bees do not like bears, because bears go in and steal their honey. So I'm going to put on my boots, pull my light colored pants over them. As you can see, I spent a lot of time in the bee yard getting dirty. So these are just my beekeeping pants. And I have my bee jacket that I wear, which has all of its seams nice and tight so bees can't get in. So I zip up and I have a little bit of Velcro right here. I put on my hood and zip it up, and then it Velcros down right here too. There's a chicken out here. And I put on my gloves, which these are a little bit more than I really need, but they work. They do the job. And then I have my hive tool, which I'll show you how to use that in a minute. And when I go out to the bee yard, I bring my bucket of stuff, so I have all the tools and equipment that I need right there with me, and I bring my smoker. Today we are not actually going to see any bees, so I don't really need my smoker. We're going to open up a hive that is that no longer has bees in it, and take a look at that. So I'm actually going to leave my smoker behind, but I'm still going to bring my toolkit, just in case I need it. So the two tall hives over here are the hives that currently have bees in them, and the two short hives over here do not have bees in them. They will, though. We're going to get some bees in there. So everything is blocked off so nobody can come in and steal any honey that's in here. And I'm going to open this up. Take off the lid. Oh, I have a friend in there. There's a caterpillar in there. And this is how I use my hive tool. This is one hive. There's one family of bees in there. And if you remember from what I told you, there are how many queens in a hive? Just one. So normally there would be one queen and a whole bunch of bees in here. So So that was the outer cover and the inner cover. And in here are all the frames that the bees would live on. So I'm going to use my hive tool to pry them apart, because they're a little bit sticky. Thanks for your help, Harold. And in here are frames. Normally a frame like this would be covered in bees, but because there aren't any bees in here, you can see this is all honey that some other bees stored, and the new bees that go in here will get to use or keep in storage if they want to. So all this light colored stuff is honey. That's what we extract in the fall and put in jars and give away. And right here, I'm not sure if you can see it. Can you see that it's shiny in there?
No.
If you catch a good angle, you can see that it's kind of shiny and wet looking in there. And that's because that is nectar. The bees get nectar from flowers, what you guys saw in the video, and they store it in here. And once it's dried to a certain water content, which they do by fanning their wings over it, then they put a cap on it, and that's when we call it honey. It's not honey until it has a cap on it and is dried to that certain percent of moisture. Let's see, I'm looking to see if there's one that had brood in it. Brood is what we call baby bees. Nope. Okay, I'm gonna lift off this box, which is gonna be pretty heavy, because it's so full of honey. And this part is where the queen lays all of her eggs. So when there are bees in here, the queen and all the worker bees will be walking around in here, and each one of these cells will have an egg laid in it. Look up here, you can see that there are some bees that died. And they're still in there, so the new bees that come in here, they'll clean those out and they'll throw them out of the hive. And then over on this side, there's some honey. They want to have honey on every frame so that they don't have to go very far to get food for those babies. And so they'll have brood in these two boxes, and then this top box is mostly going to end up being honey. And that's what they use to live through the winter. Let's see if I have any pollen in any of these. And that's my helper Harold. I'm just looking in these frames. Okay, Letha, can you get a close-up right here? If you look right here, you can see there are some different colors down in here. And this is where the bees have brought pollen and packed it into the cells. So they eat nectar and they eat pollen, and that's what they feed to their babies as well. So they will dig this out.
Okay, you're going.
These are the honey supers. I told you guys that I let the bees keep the honey that ends up in these boxes. These are the brood boxes. Usually this one's full of honey. Well, the honey that we get to take are in the smaller boxes, and that's only because they get really heavy. When this one's full of honey, it can weigh up to 90 pounds, and I can't carry 90 pounds. Each one of those frames, like I showed you, can weigh 10 pounds. That's a lot of weight. And these can weigh up to 60 pounds if they're full. And that's a little bit easier for me to handle, and a little bit easier for my machine that's going to spin out the honey. So the bees will move up here and they will fill these cells with honey, and then in the fall, we'll take them off and we'll spin them out, and that's the delicious honey that you guys see me giving around at school. This is the other hive that made it through the winter. You can see that there are a lot of bees out flying today. These ladies are out collecting pollen and nectar, and they're bringing it back. So all of them that are landing here are waiting their turn
to get inside to have someone else take their pollen and take their nectar, and then they will fly back out and they will go collect more. They're such busy ladies. They will do this for about 6 weeks before they're just too worn out to fly anymore. So they will keep very busy out here doing this. And you can tell we have lots of entrances so that they can go in and out and in and out, and there are guard bees in there that are making sure that they aren't thieves coming in to steal their honey and pollen or their nectar. They all have their jobs that they have to do, and they're keeping very busy doing them.
Hey everybody, I am out in the bee yard again today. I'm getting these hives ready to split into 2 hives. So I'm going to be doing some pretty intense work out here, but I'll at least show you the bees today. So first I'm going to get my smoker, and I'm going to puff a little smoke out there for the bees so that they have a harder time communicating with each other. Puff it in all the holes, and then I'll puff it on the top too after I see what's going on in here. Oh, hello, my babes. So I got the outer and the inner cover all at once. And these again are the honey supers, and they're bees up here. We'll see what they're doing. They're putting any honey up here. Doesn't look like it yet. Nope. They're just walking around up there, checking the place out. We'll see if they're doing anything in this box. Or again, if they're just walking around, checking the place out. Now, it looks like they are just checking the place out. I don't have any nectar up here. That's okay. They have lots of time. So I'm going to give another puff across these top bars. Let the girls know that I'm here. I'm working, and I'm going to pull out a frame and bring it over to the camera so you can get a nice close-up of the bees. Right now we have one queen, I hope. She's in there and doing well. We have mostly worker bees, stuck, and just a couple, 5% of the boy bees are drones. Come on. There we go. Nice and slow. So I don't bug them too much. Get it? Bug them. Ah. So I'm going to bring this over. And we have on this frame, let's see if I can show you here. Oh, where'd he go? There was a guy there a second ago. Oh, here's a boy bee. You can tell because he's bigger. And he has those big eyes. And the rest of these, oh, here's another boy bee or drone. There he is. You can see his big self, maybe. Maybe I'm too close. Oh, there he is on my finger. Oh, hello, dude. And that's a female bee or a worker bee on my hive tool there. Hey buddy, see you later. Let's see, they're putting some nectar in here. So that's good. You probably won't be able to see that, so I'm not gonna waste time on it. And I'm looking on this side, and they are putting more nectar in here. When I smoke them, it tells them that maybe they should fill up their tummies with honey because there could be a forest fire. So right now they're They're all drinking some of that nectar that's in there. Let's see if you can see. There's a boy bee. And here's another. Oh no, that's a girl bee. Where'd he go? Is it a boy bee? Hard to tell when they're moving so fast. These are my busy, busy bees. Oh, there's a boy. There's a boy. Hopefully I'll see the queen today, but I'm not sure. Well, that's all for now, my friends. Until next time.